gonna lift my sister up. She is not heavy. I'm gonna lift my sister up. She is not heavy.
My name is Sally Bartamioli.
And I'm Dee Gardner.
And we're here and getting together to have a conversation. We want to create some authentic dialogue. We want to be real about the issues that women face today. You know, there's a lot of conversation about microaggressions and issues of racism and unaware ways in which as women and individuals we continue to keep in place institutionalized oppression and racism. And as a woman who's white, who grew up in a small town in the Midwest, even though I've lived in Houston for a very long time, I don't know what it's like to be a woman of color in this culture. I know what it's like to be a woman, and I can speak to ways that I feel some oppression as a woman in a patriarchal culture, but I don't know what it's like to be a woman of color. And so over the years, I have called Dee sometimes when things have happened and I haven't been able to look at what's my part here and, you know, what might it be like from the perspective of a woman of color to receive a communication that I've sent, or how did my behavior show up from a perspective of someone who has a whole different experience in the world. And I've always respected and appreciated her openness with me. And so I thought, well, maybe we could have a conversation. Building a bridge, encouraging other people to have conversations, to be able to sit with what's real and what's honest between women. Because I think the answer is in building bridges and in communicating with one another and trying to learn from one another. So that's what I invited you to do that. I don't know, why are you here?
Because I totally agree with what she just said. As an African American, I also sometimes refer to myself as black, and that'll be a part of our conversation here. But as an African American, I experience all types of reactions. In this current century, it doesn't look the way it used to. It doesn't tend to, on the average, look the way it used to. And I'm referring to, I'm going to call it microaggression, or it could be called implicit racism. I prefer to refer to it as microaggression because there are so many groups that experience it as well. But this one is about African American women, white woman, black woman. I have been around a lot of Caucasians, actually majority of my adult life. I've had friends, I've worked around Caucasians, somewhere around 80% or higher amount of people, and 95% of the environments, probably 99, I'm the only brown person, I'm the only black person in the room. So needless to say, that's gonna cause some microaggression to come my way. So I found myself adjusting my reactions, I've found myself editing my responses, and I've also found myself code switching, and we'll talk about that a little bit as well. I want to be able to be in these circles. I'm a part of a lot of recovery circles, self-improvement circles, where we're supposed to be authentic and we're supposed to be honest and we're supposed to be able to communicate our true self. Well, if microaggression is in the room, I'm not going to be comfortable with that. I will not get the results that I'm looking for, the healing or the self-improvement progress or the true love. It's as if I've had to split that part off. And even just mentioning the word racism or black, it seems like there's pushback, either covertly or overtly. 99% of the time it's covertly, which means microaggression. I can see it, I can feel it, I notice it, but I have to suppress that part of me if I want to feel comfortable and benefit from this particular group, whichever group I'm in. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to be a part of this project, is to just be able to develop a dialogue. As Sally mentioned, I believe that a dialogue between the two groups with anger, frustration, sadness, hurt, whatever the emotion that comes up, a safe space for that. And I think that that's one of the things that we could do to contribute to communicating this issue. Hopefully this project will help enlighten people on both sides. And we're hoping that this may flourish into something even further because this is so prevalent in our society.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So as you're talking, and so you know we're not rehearsed, we do have a real friendship, and I certainly respect Dee as a colleague. She's a skilled and experienced therapist and counselor, and so she works in a field of hoping to help people live more authentic lives. So we're not scripted, but as you were talking, I was thinking it might be valuable for us to identify what a microaggression is. And I want to say what it is for me, which could have absolutely nothing to do with what it really is. And then will you tell us what you believe okay, so there's probably a definition somewhere. But I think it probably is there are ways in which as a non-person of color, the way it shows up for me is I'm doing and saying things that I don't even know I'm doing and saying. Beliefs that I've taken on that I don't even know I've taken on. Maybe some of them I know, maybe some of them I don't know. I am actually a shadow work facilitator and coach, so I know about putting things in shadow, hiding, repressing, and denying things. So a microaggression for me are these little, they're little, but that doesn't minimize their impact. They're little ways that people unawarely act out of their own conscious or unconscious racism, is what I would say. So what is it actually?
My experience and my research, summary in my own words, is that it is these small comments. It could be comments, it could be behaviors, it could be presentation of feelings, body language, nonverbals, it could be any of that that is offensive. So, and it doesn't matter if the person's intentional or not. That's totally irrelevant. If a person's offended, a person is offended.
Well, I didn't mean that.
I didn't mean it. I
Right.
was joking.
Right.
And so they tend to minimize it and rationalize this particular offense. Hence, it continues. And so that's how it's experienced. And there are these comments. One small example, I'm calling it small, but it really isn't. But that's the thing. We learn to even minimize it ourselves.
Sweep it under the rug.
I might go to a grocery store and I don't get offered a bag when everyone else does, and I have to ask for one. Now, those things can easily be...
Does that happen to you?
Absolutely. That happens very often. That's very common. Or I'm standing at a deli and I'm standing there and the person's busy doing something and I'm standing there waiting on service, and when a Caucasian walks up, they're there just like that. So that's happens.
See, my naivete is like, really? Like, really, that happens?
That happens often enough where I can confidently say it.
That it has to do with your color.
That's it. I've offered over the years from some of the Caucasians I've hung out with, and maybe we'll be able to do this. I've offered whenever the topic comes up, let's do our own research.
To do that.
Let's go to delis. Let's go in the public, and with this heightened sense of awareness, now you might notice it. Because with our culture, with African Americans and some other minority cultures, a part of how we communicate is sensory, it's feeling. So sometimes our instincts is telling us something and we can't put it into words.
Right.
And so when we say I was offended by that comment, then the person said, well, I was just complimenting. I think it's beautiful. I meant it positive. I don't see color. When I communicate, I might not be able to totally communicate that or articulate that, because in this 21st century, we're not necessarily experienced, African Americans, we're not necessarily experienced in how to communicate.
And it must
the
still be
offense.
frightening. It must still be fearful, like what's going to happen if I stand up. I mean, I don't think you have the fear of being.
Well, as African Americans, we don't say that often. Fear.
Yeah,
we don't say
really.
fearful because we have generally we have a survival instincts.
Right.
So I would use a word like uncomfortable.
Right.
And we just give up.
Yeah,
It's
you
almost like
said that.
learned helplessness.
Yeah.
We just give up.
It's just the way it is.
It's just the way it is. We were in a convenience store, and this is a really close friend of mine, very open-minded to this whole thing, this whole concept, which I enjoy having conversations with her. We were in a line in a convenience store, maybe 6 people or so, and I noticed the next cash register had nobody, and there was a person there, and I walked over, and she said, I'm closed. I'm closed. I'm not, this register is closed. And I said, okay. And so I walked back over and stood in line with my friend. And then we both look over, and there's a white man there that she's taking care of, that she's servicing and registering and everything. And my friend noticed that. My Caucasian friend noticed that. And she said, what's up with that? What is up? She had no idea what happened. Why did that happen? What's going on with that? And then my response was, welcome to racism. She was furious. I almost made a scene. She was loud. She said, I can't believe that. And she was very upset. So we walked out, and when we got in the car, she said, how can you be so calm? And I said, well, I can't go around angry every day, all day. I have to resolve. This is just the way it is, and have thick skin. And I said, what do you think would have happened had this been an African American or black man as furious as you were? She said, 6 police cars would have been in the parking lot in 2 seconds. I said, exactly. Well, that's an experience.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, I'm taken aback. So I feel taken aback.
Yeah, that's the reality. That's the reality.
There's a part of me that wants to take Dee's hand and go skipping down the street, and that doesn't want to believe that still happens. So I'm just glad we're here. I'm glad we're here, and I'm grateful that you're willing to share. And so that's what we're going to be doing. I don't know what else to say. This might be enough for right now.
This would be enough for right now.
So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And we'll have contact information if you'd like to reach out to us. And
don't forget to subscribe. Hit that subscribe, and you'll be able to keep up with this awesome project. By the way, we call it D.A.R.R.E. The acronym stands for
Dialogue Authentically on Real Experiences, right? D.A.R.R.E.?
Dialogue Authentically about racial experiences.
Or real experiences.
Real.
We went back and forth. So, and we're building bridges. Dare to build bridges.
Real, yes.
Thank you.
you.